Hey yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome to Yo a Nerd, and today I have some special guests with me from the Midnight Internship. Give it up for Mimi and Koo. What's up, you guys?
Hi,
Hey,
Hey, how you guys doing today?
pretty good.
yeah,
I just
doing great. Yeah,
Cool. To get this started, could you just give a quick introduction of yourself?
yeah,
do you want to go for
yeah. I'll go first. um, hey, my name is Ku. Haikucifer is what I go by. I'm one of the artists, of course. Me and Mimi, on Chiroptera with the Midnight Comics. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and my name is Mimi. I'm one of the interns for Midnight Comics. I'm also one of the artists for Chiroptera, and yeah, that's pretty much it. You just got both of the
Yeah,
artists.
we're-
Well, that's dope. I get to talk to some of the artists tonight. So, could you guys talk about what the Midnight Internship is and what you guys do?
So with the Midnight Internship, it is I would say there is a bundle of opportunities. It's not just one particular, I guess you can
yeah.
job that Midnight Comics tends to do for the internship. So, for example, there are writers for the Midnight Internship, so they tend to work on blogs and social media posts and so on and so forth. On our end, we are artists, so we tend to do like concept art mainly, I would say,
Yeah.
this part. So, for some up and coming projects that Midnight Comics tends to do. So that's typically what we do. We have some people who do voiceovers
Mhm.
for some of the promotional art as well. So there's a bunch of different subsections, so to speak, when it comes to Midnight Comics and the internship and what type of occupation or role you would want to play.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of go a little deeper, I know like we were both tasked with doing concept art, some like thumbnails for YouTube videos at some point. I did some stickers and merch designs. Um, Mimi was doing like facial structure for certain characters, so that was kind of our main things. Yeah.
Okay. And for the people who don't know, Midnight Comics is a comic book company ran by Lloyd and Tasha. They're really cool. I actually did a couple interviews with them before, and these are some of their interns that have a Kickstarter that they are working on. And that is what they are here to talk about today. So I'm actually going to share my screen because I got the Kickstarter up right now. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about this Kickstarter. Here we go, the Midnight Showcase, and it's basically where you guys came together and you guys did three different stories, and you guys said you guys did Karatra.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Could you go into a little bit about that story?
Yeah. Did you want to or
I'll piggyback off of you this time.
okay, okay, well, we'll teamwork.
Yeah.
Okay, so our story is well. All let's start there. All three of the stories were meant to be like thriller, kind of suspenseful stories,
Hmm.
and we wanted to kind of go the route of something kind of real to our reality, real to our reality. Sure. So we kind of want to do a riff off of Pokemon Go in a certain type of way because way back when Pokemon Go kind of started, there was a lot of weird phenomena happen, like people playing the game and like getting hit by a car. Or I
Hmm.
know like in my town, or there was like someone in like a lake. It's like weird, kind of strange violence, and accidents happening surrounding that game. So we were like, what if we took it a little bit farther and we made it like a suspense story?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the basis of how we got to this story. So the main plot is these three kids. If we're looking at the cover, Darnell at the top, Evan with the phone, and then Star. They all board this weird train at late o'clock at night, and they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to catch a Titan in our situation, um, instead of a Pokemon. And they definitely found out some things.
It
Yeah,
did.
definitely found out. Yeah.
And I wanted to piggyback off of that. When we were coming up with this concept, I was thinking about more so like I did some research about this resurgence of Pokemon Go. Like it started
Mhm.
off as a big phenomenon in 2016, and then after a while it kind of died down, and then it resurged again back during the pandemic, so 2020.
Mhm.
And those years, that's when you really, like Ku said, you would hear about these really strange phenomena. It was almost like an epidemic where people were so engulfed in the game and just wanting to interact with someone that they would walk into like forbidden territory
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
get themselves in very dangerous situations. There was a lot of break entering during Pokemon Go. Um, and also, I wanted to add that maybe as a Black person being introduced to anime, I feel like I may be going on a stretch here, but I feel like for most people, their segue into anime or getting into anime was usually like Dragon Ball Z,
Mhm.
Naruto, Pokemon,
Yeah.
because Pokemon, honestly, I think it was a starter anime for a lot of people since it was not only on 4Kids TV, it was also on Cartoon Network. The games were everywhere. There
Mhm.
was a lot of marketing, especially for the demographic of kids, for Pokemon. And I feel like there was like a relatability aspect to that since we all grew up on it.
Right.
Yeah, I would
So
agree.
it would be a pretty interesting concept since there is a bunch of I would say stories or creepy pastas surrounding
Mhm.
Pokemon anyways. I think we just decided to take our own personal spin on it when
Mhm.
it came to Chiraptera.
Okay, and you said in this one, instead of Pokemon, they're chasing a Titan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the game is called Titan Snatch instead of
Mm.
Pokemon, where you gotta catch them all. It's like it's just a really silly riff on that. So instead of
Hmm.
catching, you're snatching.
Snatching. Okay.
Yeah. Snatching Titans instead of catching Pokemon.
Cool. And this seems real like manga style. Were you actually you both are artists on this, right?
Hmm.
Okay. So are you guys I'm guessing you guys were big fans of manga before this?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I got a whole my whole stack is
Oh, I
like
see you.
different
I
manga and stuff.
would turn my camera, but the other half of my room is full of clothes. So yes, no, I do have a bookshelf full of manga. I have all like Bleach box sets. I have a collection.
Yeah, we're there too.
So what are some besides I know you said like Pokemon Go, but what are some mangas that have inspired you and inspired this comic in particular?
I don't think any mangas really inspired this creation or this production actually.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
kind of funny that we're all super nerds. Like everybody on our team, like all of our jokes are definitely rooted in something really nerdy or like anything like that. But for this, it was very much a like, okay, yeah, Pokemon, but I think we were kind of more on the like Lovecraft country, like
Mm.
Mhm.
Black and Monster,
Oh,
um and then we were already working on it by the time like Sinners came out, but kind of like that
Yeah.
too, you know, like what are some ways to combine things, being black firstly,
Hmm.
our culture with what we like as well as like supernatural, you
Hmm.
know. I think that kind of drove it way more than any other external force. Yeah.
right. Okay. I like that answer. So, with you guys being the artists on this, how did you guys collaborate with the writer on the story and everything?
There was a lot of meetings. There was
Hmm.
countless meetings.
We were in the lab for real.
A lot of it, when it came to the script, I would say maybe the writers would put something down on the script. However, we would have to make sure that we can ensure that we can communicate that through visual art. So sometimes something they would put in the script, we would have to clarify, like, how would you want this to be? What do you want? Can we execute that? Will the reader understand what
Mm.
we're trying to convey and what we're trying to communicate? So in some cases, when you would read it, it would make sense. However, it may not translate when you have a drawing right in front of you. You know, you may not be able to articulate your thoughts as well because it is visual. So it would be open to interpretation. So we had to make a couple of alterations, and as we were collabing, we had a good, I would say we had pretty good teamwork, because to distribute the amount of work, I would work on like the backgrounds and whatnot, and Ku would work on the characters, so it wouldn't be so much of a hassle when it came to drawing. And we would also have to trim a lot of the fat, because we would have a great idea or a great concept, and then we would just derail and add extra details where we didn't need to.
Yeah,
So,
and kind of add to that, kind of more of the process would be like any of our writers would this like give a paragraph like, okay, maybe we can do this now, and then it would be like me or Mimi being like, okay, does that fit into 7 pages? Because mind you, the original conception of the project was 7-page mystery thriller suspense comic. And so anytime somebody would come up with an idea, you know, oh, okay, now this character is talking to the police about something that, you know, a cold open, and it was like, okay, we're doing this cold open, but is that a page that we can allot for like running like a chase scene, or is that something that we can do for like exposition, for dialogue? Like, what's important here? And do we want to keep that? And is that something that can be repurposed into a future story, you know? So it was a lot of push and pull, and being like, you want to see this, and then I look at Mimi and I'd be like, are you trying to draw that?
yeah.
Is that something that's drawable between the two of us? Yes, no. Okay, let's, you know, recycle that back into the script. Okay, that can work. And so on and so forth. Like, it was a lot of just pushing and pulling and schmixelating. That's the word I'm going to use. Yeah.
And was this the first time you guys had to like work on a team, working on a comic?
Yes.
In this way, yeah. I would say this one.
Okay, and then what did you learn from it?
A lot. I feel like a lot. I feel like at the beginning of the process, we all had so many ideas in all different directions, because we all have different backgrounds and different skill sets and interests, that I would say at the beginning, before getting to know each other, it almost could have been a too many cooks situation. But I think we all allowed ourselves to back off and not be too overly personal with our ideas, and like that made it easier to pivot, you know, because now we're not being like, well, Mimi didn't like my idea, so now I'm mad. You know, it was very much like, okay, maybe we just reevaluate, and this is how we can solidify an idea, you know. It was, once we got out of that, it was very easy to come back together and be like, okay, we're here for this project, not for our ego, you know. Yeah.
I totally agree. Honestly, I couldn't say it better myself. When it did come to collaborating, because technically speaking, this is not the first time we've collaborated in Midnight Comics. However, this is the first time we have done a group project that was completely randomized, and they were also, Midnight Comics was trying something new with the whole idea of, hey, I want you guys to produce your own short little comic. Let's see how this goes. So it was an experiment for all of us, and we get in these groups, and like she said, we have so many different ideas, and we're just compiling on each other with all our different ideas and brainstorming. Luckily, we're really good at constructive criticism.
Yeah.
It made it a lot easier, you know, because I do understand, especially when you are so used to drawing by yourself, or maybe just do work by yourself, you know, it can be a little difficult to kind of backtrack and like change your ideas for the betterment of the group. or if like the idea tends to be more plausible. Like in some cases, you may like this concept and you may like this idea. However, will it meet the time constraints of when we're trying to push this project out and get it finished? You know?
Yeah. I think also like, can we do better? You know, like not just settling for like this was the first idea. We could just go with this and be done. Like we went through 4 or 5, I mean, a lot of ideas before we settled on this one because there were so many like different forces coming, and yeah, just taking that constructive criticism and being like, actually, we can do better than this. We can push it farther and go a little bit harder. Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing, because one of our earliest drafts was definitely like, well, rural town cult. We could come a little bit harder than that, you know, like the birds are watching us. Yeah, true. But what about, you know, and just how can we elevate it to the next, you know, that too. That was always in the back of our heads.
That, and I would also say, due to the constraints of the project, which isn't bad, I think it does kind of push yourself to get out of your comfort zone, because we're so used to, like, especially with anime, that seasons on seasons and these very long, detailed stories. So I think we've been programmed to make or try to stretch something out, or even not even with anime. You got Marvel and DC, and you got the comics, and you got the movies, and it goes on and on and on. So I think for us, that was also a thing that, or a hurdle that I would say that we had to overcome. And I also think when it came to creating our story, the main focus also was this: we didn't want any loose ends. Didn't want any loose ends.
Yeah.
The reader can read this and they're like, okay, but how did this connect to this? How did we get here? What is this going to do? Like, we wanted it to answer all the who, what, when, where's, and whys. Like, some things could be open to interpretation to a certain degree, but if we answer all of the main questions, I think that was like our main goal that we wanted to solidify when making the comic.
Yeah, that's solid. That's definitely solid, because you do see more stories, you know, lead off with a cliffhanger or something that don't really have a clear ending, just in case they want to continue. But it's always nice sometimes for me. I always love stories that have a clear cut ending, like you know, okay, this end of story, that character either died or you know they started a family, something like that. But I always appreciate clear cut ending stories.
I think one of the best things about this story is that it is both a clear cut ending, but also we could build more story after it. You know,
Yeah.
I think it kind of asks the question of like, okay, but what else is going on in this world? You know, if this was just like a train ride away, okay, so like if I go the train ride the other direction, am I going to find something crazy that way? Or, you know, like anything, if I go to the beach, am I going to find something? You know, and I think that's kind of a cool way to do it too, because it can become a full series, or we could never do anything with it again, and that you know, I feel very secure in being like, okay, we're done, but also what if we were, you
Exactly.
know?
And so with this story, you were saying that you guys had like different ideas and everything, and you wanted to keep building and find a perfect story. What about this story set it apart from the other ideas that you had, that you was like, okay, we're gonna go with this idea because it's the dopest thing and it's what we can really see ourselves doing?
I honestly feel like the other concepts that we came up with, yes, it could fall in the category of thriller and gritty, and that's what we wanted. However, and I know there's different spins on it and there's different takes, and that's what makes it interesting. However, it is redundant. So in that case, I think when it came to this and we were like, this is the one, I feel like it was drastically different. And on top of that, it reaches out to so many demographics. You know, it feels like, even though it's mildly fantasy based and a thriller, realistically speaking, these characters feel as though that you can encounter an actual kid like this. Kids are curious all the time and getting into things that they're not supposed to, because they're just curious. You know, they just have curious minds. You know, the world is their toy box, essentially, you know. So you can see, or if you want to, sadly, if you want to take a darker turn, like there's always a kid going missing, unfortunately, you know. So I think there's a relatability aspect to it, but also there's some fun and some creativity in this world like building when it comes to Chiroptera versus like our initial stories where it's like it feels more limited, you know, with the idea of like, oh, okay, well, it's a rural town in a cult. How many times have we heard that before? So it's like, how much flexibility can we really have to make it different? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I'll stamp that. Boom. That was great.
And also, how did you guys come up with the name?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry. It's so silly. It's really so silly. Well, in the comic, Evan is searching for that Titan, and its name is Veilshade, and it is the Bat Titan. Um, every time I say it, it's just like, oh wow. Chiroptera just means bat.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just the scientific name for bat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were
Now,
like, we got a bat creature.
Hey.
Maybe it's
yeah.
bat.
And it gives you kind of like an interesting title. It kind of like pops out at you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we had, you know, several other titles before that. And like they were good titles. I think it kind of leaned more into well, hold on, let me backtrack a little. When we kind of went this route with the Chiroptera like series situation, we kind of were looking at like Boxcar Kids, you know, Magic Treehouse, kind of like something that could be standalone sequence. But also we were really on a train thing, which is again how we ended up on a train going where we were going. And it was like, you know, Tales from the Rails, which is kind of the overarching title.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
tough.
this was Chiroptera, Tales from the Rails. And it was like Silent Passenger and like a silent like there was a bunch of different ones. But what if it were like, you know, just a single word? Like that kind of makes it sound otherworldly. But when you kind of do some research on it, it always told you what the answer was going to be. You know, like if you were to search Chiroptera, you would literally get a picture of a bat.
Yeah.
And you would come back to our story and you'd be like, well, they're looking for a bat. I guess they'll maybe find a bat. It really is just so one-to-one. Yeah. That's why I was laughing, because when I think about that process of finding it, and it was just one day I was Googling titles, like, okay, maybe this would be cool. And I just was like, okay, well, we're working with a bat. So tap, 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 tap. Oh, that word means bat. How y'all feel about this? Yeah. And it's carried on into our development as well, because we decided we want to do comics together for a bit longer and see how that goes. And we've decided we want to be called Hyla Comics. And in a similar fashion to Chiroptera, Hyla just means frog.
Yeah.
Means tree frog. And we have like our froggy mascot, and Star is wearing a frog hat and has a little cute frog watch. So it's very straightforward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes those are the best names, though.
Straightforward and also roundabout in the same way.
Yeah.
And it also has a monster type feel to it, like chupacabra, werewolf, vampire, something like that. Like it has a monster type feel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also, so I wanted to ask you guys about how like the stories, since you guys' story and the other two stories, are they, if not connected, are they still like the same theme?
No, yeah, they're all the stories are very different.
Extremely.
Extremely different. One of the stories is like a superhero thriller. The other one is like a detective thriller. And then there's ours. Like that's just like a kid's adventure thriller situation. Yeah. No.
Okay, so it's really like a real like anthology.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're definitely getting something different with each comic.
Hmm.
Okay, and you guys said the way you guys randomly pick these squads, like divvied each other up.
So it was really Tasha who randomized the groups, and they said, "Hey, this is who you're going to be. This is Team 3. This is Team 2. This is Team 1."
Yep.
And you've just been here ever since.
That's dope, and that's dope that each separate group came up with a story.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. That's actually pretty cool. You don't really see that much where people team up and are, especially when y'all randomly got put together and making that work like that. That's actually pretty dope.
Yeah, it was kind of a stroke of luck. I think that, man, I couldn't have asked for a better group, you know.
Right.
We were all in the chat the other day like, I'm so glad why we met each other. Like it was just like a random number. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Hmm.
So to talk about you guys Kickstarter, so I'm looking at it and you guys have fully reached your goal. That's what's
Yeah.
up. Clap it up for that. Clap it up for that. And you guys got 10 more days to go. So what are some of the things besides, like coming on here talking to me that you're doing to push the campaign?
Of course, there's like been a lot of promotion, but honestly, since we've reached our goal, I think now it's just more so just wanting to make sure we just reach out to the audience, seeing like just developing a community in a sense. Because even if we did reach our goal, this is still like supporting Black artists, supporting Black art, and up and coming talent, especially since like it's very hard to make it in the art industry as a whole, whether it's animation, comics, so on and so forth. So right now I think it's just more so, at least for our team, I would say it's just more so garnering a community and becoming one and reaching our audience and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely that. I guess that if we want to add other things, we're thinking about next steps, you know, and
That
we're
was
trying
my
to,
next question.
yeah, we're thinking about next steps. We're trying to figure out how we can get people invested in what we're doing, and what are what are some story ideas that might kind of keep it going, not necessarily like both capitalizing on the momentum, but also like what feels honest for us, and what's that marketing going to look like? Where are we going to sell it once we're done with the Kickstarter?
Yeah.
Are we going to sell it, or are we going to be like, y'all got to wait until we set, or like, what's the vibe on that? So it's been a lot of discussion on that for sure.
Okay, so with this, you guys are planning on still doing comics outside of the Midnight Showcase together, like still working on your own thing too?
Yeah, absolutely.
And is that kind of the aim of the Midnight internship?
I think everyone kind of has their own set of goals. I can't speak for the other teams, but I definitely think that this internship helped them propel not only, I would say, their social media platforms, keeping them engaged with like doing art, because I know for some people they experience burnout and they put the pen down, they put the pencil down, and they stop for a bit and then they come back. But I think it helps with consistency on all fronts. Okay. And I think it also expanded a lot of people's horizons. Like, for example, I never thought about the idea of creating a comic or being a part of anything comic related. Like, I liked concept art, I like doing concept art, but I was okay with doing that on all fronts, or more so animation. But ever since I entered this internship, it made me want to start doing
Oh, she frozen.
I think she might have froze, yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, let's see, come back.
There
There
she
we go.
goes.
There we go. We back.
Welcome back.
I was is it me because I have spectrum? But no, I think this internship broadened my horizons, and it made me more invested in doing comics. Because especially, I would say it helped with having a team, because it is a lot to do by yourself. I think gives you more confidence that you can achieve this goal. Because realistically, it's like, let's say if you want to work in the industry, you would have to work with a team.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would say on the opposite side of that, I'd always wanted to do comics. You know, like that was the thing. I was like in high school, I'm gonna do it. This is my story slate. Like I just finished a draft, and it was like not a great draft, but it, you know, something I was always doing. And coming into this internship, I can kind of see what it would almost be like to do industry work without having to be in a overly industry situation, you know, because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like Lloyd and Natasha, as we're in this internship, treat us like for old friends who just happen to also be drawing for them. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm.
like they're really chill with us. They give us deadlines, but it's not like, you know, oh, you didn't meet the deadline, so you gotta like
Right.
now we're upset. You know, it wasn't like that. It was just like, hey, can you draw this? That looks great, dude. Thanks. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for assisting us and being interns, you know. And it was a very warm feeling. And we're like building our portfolios, and you know, now we all have a comic that's published under our belt, so we can take that and do whatever we want to do with it, you know. Um we've got again, a bunch of people have done like character designs and stuff. So now if I want to branch out past Midnight Comics at some point, I have a whole character portfolio of stuff that I've done here.
Yeah.
And so I really think that like the internship as a whole is just about like progress, like progressing your skills, progressing your mind to be like, this is possible for you to do and continue to do. Not, you could have always been doing it, you know. But we're giving you this opportunity to show what you got and like put you in that mode to make some stuff happen, you know. And I cannot say like anything bad about it, you know. I really appreciate that opportunity because before this, like I was just like drawing in my bedroom like for myself, you know. But now we've been doing interviews all month, and like people care about what we're doing, and we wouldn't have been able to do that without Midnight Comics like giving us that opportunity, at least at this point, you know.
Hey, that's dope. I really like that, and I like the what Lloyd and Natasha are doing. That's dope. It's kind of helping people kind of get into the comic book industry because
Yeah.
it's or just into making comics. It's because people see it really as what they say like daunting. Like it's a lot for people to jump into it, and it's kind of they're helping ease the pain. You feel me? Ease you into
Yeah,
it. So
absolutely that.
yeah, so that's really dope. Shout outs to them. And the kind of to kind of round this out, do you guys have anything you want to say to anybody that may be listening, newcomers, fans or whatever?
Man, that's tough.
Because I mean, there's a lot to say. Because I feel like now more than ever, you know, not to get too political, like the job market it's kind of it's a little harsh. But I feel like even though it's a little harsh, I do think people should still aim for their dreams. I think people should still try, put
Mm.
that book out, make that comic, make that animation, whatever you. Especially since there's so many. Even though it's kind of perplexing, there's so many opportunities. Even though you may feel limited, I definitely think a lot of people should try. Like, put your
Oh,
Think she was saying put yourself out there before she froze.
yeah, I bet.
See if she comes. Okay, here we go.
okay. I definitely think people should try and just give it their
Okay.
best.
There we go.
Like, yeah, I think everything is like a learning process, and just give yourself some grace. You may not be a hit the first time you do it. Everything you're growing from it. You're from it.
Facts.
So I say just do anything that you put your mind to.
Yeah. I would say definitely all of that again, like hit the nail on the head perfectly. I would also say like make some friends, like make some connections, you know, like because you know, again in this process, I think we've been on a team specifically, you know, this comic team for a year, but I feel like we've also you know, gained trust and friendship where like we now do want to keep doing stuff together, and you kind of never know what would happen if you know, if you'd never let your walls down and let people in, you know, into your circle. Because now I have relationships with creatives I just never would have had before if I, kept to myself.
Mhm.
And it stayed as like a person just drawing in my room by myself, like again, reaching out for those opportunities, but also don't let those people walk away from you, they could become this whole thing,
Mhm.
Right. Cool, cool. So where can people find you?
um Haikucifer, pretty much everywhere that you can find a Haikucifer. Yeah.
And you can just find me on Instagram at Mimi Stencils. That's really it. That's really it. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on any of that. Just find me on Instagram at Mimi Stencils.
Oh, cool. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on and doing this interview and talking about your Kickstarter. I see that you guys already reached your goal, so I hope it just keeps going up and you get
Mhm.
even more of your goals. So shout outs to y'all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all. And for all the people watching, the link to their Kickstarter will be in the descriptions. As of right now, you have 10 days to back it. When I post this video in the next couple of days, so maybe 8 days to back it and help them reach their goals. So like I said, link to what they're doing is in the description and it'll take you to the Kickstarter. And thank you guys for coming on. It's been a dope episode. I want to thank you guys for coming on and sharing your Kickstarter with me.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Yeah.